Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. The program is Focal Point. Network is American Family Radio Talk Network. Don't forget, you can share your listener stories with us about how AFR Talk, Focal Point, the other programming on AFR Talk have encouraged you, motivated you, helped you, challenged you, stimulated growth in your walk with Christ. You can call us at 800-326-4543 and hit option 8, and you can record your message about the impact that AFR Talk has had on you. You can also call that same number, and you can sign up to be a Share-a-thon volunteer by going to extension 204. Deanna will be happy to arrange a shift for you. You can pick the shift or shifts that you want, the days that you want. Again, the number 800-326-4543. So the number for both listener stories and to sign up to be a Share-a-thon volunteer is the same, 800-326-4543, option 8 to record your listener testimony, and extension 204 to sign up to be a Share-a-thon volunteer. Remember Jack Lew, Secretary of the Treasury, Chris Wallace boring in on him, asked him a half a dozen times how many people have signed up for Obamacare, and the reality is it's a number that is embarrassingly small. You remember the story last week about how gaga the media was because they found one guy that had signed up, a guy by the name of Chad Henderson. He became an Obamacare celebrity because at last the Washington Post had 12 reporters that were dedicated to report breathlessly on the wonders of Obamacare. And all these people that were ecstatic because it was like going to Disney World that they had got Obamacare finally. They couldn't find anybody. They issued a casting call. Please, somebody, we got 12 reporters standing by to talk to you, to give your story national attention. Where are you? We can't find anybody. This is Washington Post. So finally, this guy named Chad Henderson tweets out, hey, I enrolled. So the media just descends on him like a horde of locusts because he was the only one they could find. He became an overnight celebrity. Everybody in the world wanted to interview him. And he was breathless with excitement at his 15 minutes of fame. Well, it turns out that he hadn't actually enrolled. He didn't sign up for Obamacare after all. His father was the one that busted him. Washington Post get a hold of him. And the dad says that he and his son were interested in getting coverage, but that they had not enrolled in any plan yet. And to his knowledge, neither had his son. This is Washington Post saying, look, the whole thing is a total scam. He didn't sign up. His father didn't sign up. And the reporter, I think her name is Sarah Cliff, I think, I spoke with Chad over the phone about his situation. He told me that he has indeed not purchased coverage, but doesn't believe he was lying. So he tried to explain why he was actually telling the truth. And he, by the way, claimed that he donated $1,000 to Obama's reelection, so not exactly an unbiased, impartial observer. And the mayor of Salt Lake City has had to admit that he lied about enrolling his son in Obamacare. In other words, there is nobody signing up for this thing. There's nobody that's actually enrolling in this thing, so they have to lie about it. They have to invent enrollees because they simply don't exist. This is Salt Lake City Mayor Ralph Becker claimed it was relatively easy to sign one of his adult sons up for Obamacare on the exchange website. Well, as it turns out, he lied. His son isn't enrolled yet. This is from the Salt Lake Tribune. Salt Lake City Mayor Ralph Becker at a news conference celebrating the launch of the Affordable Care Act's online insurance marketplace said it was, quote, relatively easy to enroll one of his adult sons. But as Utahns and hopeful shoppers across the country struggle to load and use the site, often getting a, quote, please wait page, Becker has since clarified that he did not enroll his son. My oldest son is still going to pursue coverage, but has not completed the process. The mayor was under the impression he finished it when he did the press event. So they still can't find one guy that's actually enrolled. And this Chad Henderson guy, he's gone dark. He shut his Twitter account down. His dad has gone dark. They've disappeared from social media because they got caught in this lie. Now, this business, you heard Jack Lew say, well, this just shows how popular Obamacare is. We're being overwhelmed, millions and millions of millions in visitors. Well, listen to this. This is a story from Breitbart.com. President Obama, of course, out there claiming this is a result of massive traffic. We're just being overwhelmed. It's important to millions and millions of Americans. They're just overwhelming the website because it is so popular. But the reality is that IT experts are saying that the architecture of the Obamacare website is hopelessly, categorically, catastrophically wrong. This is the architecture. It's not software. You can't just add servers to this thing and get it to work. And speaking of the traffic, before I get back to the architecture problem, there are 505 websites, count them, that have more traffic than the Obamacare website. 505 websites have more traffic than Obamacare. Amazon has more traffic. Breitbart.com, for instance, 239th on the list. You don't read about their website breaking down, people being overwhelmed with traffic. Amazon's perking along. Apple is perking along. You know, Jack Lew saying, hey, it's routine to have a problem with an update to software. Well, I just updated my iPhone to iOS 7.2. No problem. Went without a glitch. I'd heard horror stories. Turned out they weren't true. Updated without a glitch. Same with my iPad. No problem whatsoever. Now, let's get to the story on Daily Caller from Reuters. 5 outside technology experts interviewed by Reuters say they believe flaws in system architecture, not traffic alone, contribute to the problems. This is like saying the problem with that building, it isn't the doors, it isn't the carpet, it is the foundation, and it is the walls. That's where your problem is. This thing's not going to stand up. And so you have to tear the whole building down and rebuild it from the ground up. And the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, by the way, they will not let any of its IT experts talk to the press. They've been barred from talking to the press about these problems. So they have to bring in these outside technology experts because the guys that built the thing will not talk to anybody. The government won't let them. Obama won't let them talk to anybody. Here's what the IT expert said. For instance, when a user tries to create an account on healthcare.gov, which serves insurance exchanges in 36 states, it prompts the computer to load an unusually large amount of files and software, overwhelming the browser. If they are right, then just bringing more servers online, as officials say they are doing, will not fix the site. Bill Curtis, chief scientist at CAST, a software quality analysis firm, quote, adding capacity sounds great until you realize that if you didn't design it right, that won't help. The architecture of the software may limit how much you can add onto it. I suspect they'll have to reconfigure a lot of it, rebuild it basically from the street up. One possible cause of the problems is that hitting apply on healthcare.gov causes 92 separate files, plugins, and other mammoth swarms of data to stream between the user's computer and the servers powering the government website, said Matthew Hancock, an independent expert in website design. They set up the website in such a way that too many requests to the server arrived at the same time. He said because so much traffic was going back and forth between the user's computers and the server hosting the government website, it was as if the system was attacking itself. You know what hackers do, this denial of service? Maybe you've heard about that. They try to overwhelm a website with a denial of service thing. So you try to go there, you can't get on because the system has been overwhelmed. This is what hackers do to shut down a website. This thing is so badly designed that it hacks itself. It shuts itself down. It does its own denial of service shutdown. Hancock described the situation as similar to what happens when hackers conduct a distributed denial of service, or DDoS, attack on a website. They get large numbers of computers to simultaneously request information from the server that runs a website, overwhelming it and causing it to crash or otherwise stumble. Quote, the site basically DDoS'd itself. It's a coding problem. It's a bug in the system, said Jyoti Bansal, chief executive of App Dynamics. The more you have to ask another database for information, the more it can get overwhelmed. So in other words, this thing is shutting itself down. It's doing a job that hackers couldn't even dream of doing, completely shutting down this website. Let's go to the phones. Let's grab a call from Roger, Martinsburg, West Virginia. Roger, welcome. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Mr. Fisher, I'd like to ask one personal question here on, they got this retiring thing up to 67. That was 62 and 65, right? Well,
Okay.
I want to understand, what I can't understand is, why is the government workers going to retire early, at an early age and younger age, with less years? And that's what's got my attention. And I think that's got a lot of problems to do with this, too. So I didn't mean to take your time. I just want to know about that, and that's why I called this.
All right, well, now repeat your concern. I want to be sure I understand what you're saying. Repeat it one more time to me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said I'd like to know, why is it now, you used to be able to retire at 62 and 65. Now you got to be 67, they said.
Okay, now are you talking about military for retirement?
I'm talking about the regular people out here. Regular people retiring from their jobs.
Okay, 52 or 62?
Used to be 62 and 65.
Okay.
But now...
now it's 65 and up.
No, it's 67 now.
Okay, yeah, before you're fully eligible for Social Security, you're saying?
But the government workers, they can retire in 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
And that's what got me. How did they get away with something like that and they want to put that on us? We're the taxpayers.
Yeah. Well, Roger, and I appreciate your call, and you're exactly right. And, this is why, and it's all because of public sector unions. It's one reason alone. It is unions. If you ever wanted a reason not to like unions, you're looking at it. Roger's exactly right. People in the public sector, they can retire after 20 years or 30 years with like an immense percentage of their salary. I mean, 70, 80, 90% of what they were making when they retired just keeps right on going till the day that they die. Now, I'm not faulting them for it. Don't misunderstand me. They're working hard, and I'm not faulting them. So I'm not picking on public sector workers. I'm picking on public sector unions, because it's the unions, not the workers. I'm not complaining about them. It's the unions that have done this to us. This is why FDR said, look, you cannot have public sector unions. You cannot unionize government workers because there's nobody to negotiate against. Who do they sit down with? They're sitting down with the people that they're giving money to. And the politicians who give them these pension benefits, they want their votes. They're going to be nice to the labor unions. Nobody to bid against them. Focal Point AFR Talk.